Next up, let's invite Shelby up. Give Shelby a round of applause. So Shelby's art is being displayed in the conference room where the food is. And Shelby is an artist. How do you prefer to be? Do you prefer to be called an artist or an NFT artist? Like, how do you prefer to be kind of identified there?
I prefer artist. I think that all NFT artists are truly artists at heart.
Yeah, awesome. Well, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, so I'm Shelby. I'm an oil painter first and foremost, but I'm also very involved in the Web3 space. I've, been both the creator of collections and ordinals and ETH drops, super rare auctions. I was the first independent artist to land a partnership with Magic Eden. So I'm very proud of that. And yeah, even though I'm an oil painter, I still am very happy to be centered in Web3 and so grateful for this community. And also, thank you to you for having me here today and to Sarah.
Yeah, most definitely. So you're an oil painter originally, and then do you scan your art, or did you did you add digital art to your oil painting?
So, great question. I do scan my art to sell as prints, but for all of my NFTs, I actually created it digitally, and a lot of them are animated. So, I had a lot of new skills since I've been in Web3.
As someone that has been doing, I know you're an artist, but doing NFTs and art, how have you seen that evolve over the last couple of years, right? It was very exciting and interesting, call it like 2-3 years ago, and there's might have been like a little bit of a lull, but like how have you, call it, persevered and continued through that, and or have you even noticed any sort of lull, in that regard?
I think it would be pretty hard not to notice. But I've only been in NFTs for maybe 1.5 to 2 years. So I wasn't here for the initial bump. I kind of came right after that. And I have seen the fall, though. So I kind of came in right when it started to dip down. And then, recently we've seen a surgence with Bitcoin ordinals and Solana. So I'm really happy to see that and a lot of energized people around that community. But I do think it's been very difficult as an artist to weather, the ups and downs. And primarily, I am an oil painter, and I think it's really important, and I've emphasized this, even in the Web3 space, for artists in NFTs to also consider themselves artists out of NFTs. You're an artist at heart, and whatever medium, however you sell your art, it's still art. And I think it's important for artists to explore, avenues of revenue outside of NFTs and Web3 because of the volatility of crypto. And I also encourage artists in Web3 to explore different chains, different blockchains, and not to be so tied to one blockchain. There's no reason to put yourself to at the whim of the volatility of a single blockchain when cryptocurrency as a whole is still so volatile. It's good to have different eggs in different baskets.
And so last question for you, from your perspective, what's in store for 2024 from like a crypto art or, that sort of segment?
Yeah, so I actually have been reflecting on this question a lot and what's going to happen in the coming year, and I do have some notes on it. So this year, I think that the most important development for art, both in the traditional art world and in Web3, is AI. As a very traditional oil painter, I'm probably one of the last people that you might expect to hear that from, since so many artists and people in general despise AI. And I think that this is primarily from a place of fear. We've seen different controversies from Netflix to most recently Magic the Gathering, where people find out that a company has been using AI and they protest it and they boycott it. It's a really big deal. As renowned AI artist Claire Silver has said, just in the past 6 months or so, AI art has become virtually indistinguishable from, real or human-made art. I've experienced it myself just in the past 3 months. It changes so rapidly. It's wild. And this is a very scary thing for most artists. And, it threatens our very identity. But I think it's really important to look throughout history to try to understand this and also make sure that we position ourselves for success rather than being left behind. For example, the innovation of the camera in photography. In the past, artists did not consider that to be art, but many successful photographers of today would prove otherwise. Pretty sure everybody in this room could come up with some example of an industry throughout history that was threatened by a new technology, that threatened to make it obsolete practically overnight. And the players in the industry must either adapt and evolve with the times or become replaced and disappear. And I believe that AI is the most powerful creative tool to ever exist, besides the human brain. And there are 1,000 ways we could talk about AI changing industry, but today I'm only going to talk about AI in the way that we use it as a tool to make art. And in my opinion, that is what AI is. It is a tool. It's not the answer, but a tool to help you find the answer so much more efficiently. I have never created something like generated art with a prompt and felt like it was really my art. However, I have used it to create references for my oil paintings. I find it as a sketch pad, it's extremely useful to create hundreds of drafts or iterations of an idea before I turn to my more like hands-on creative process. And reference images for painting have been super important since the beginning of human creativity. I used to spend literally hundreds of hours searching the internet for different photos to bring them into Photoshop and stitch them together, and then use that as a reference for my oil painting. Just like in the 1700s, oil painters used a tool called a camera lucida. They would actually look through, and it would help them project an image of what was in front of them onto the canvas. Now, artists have a new tool to save us the time. What I have found is that the more unique your vision is, the less likely AI is to be able to execute it. AI operates based on the input of all existing human art and images. Therefore, it can only create an image of what was created before it. There are extremely talented AI artists who push the boundaries of this, and many of them I count as friends, and they create entire worlds and stories with their art, or art that is truly unique to their own style. But no matter how anyone is wielding this tool, the result is that beautiful images are becoming more and more attainable. Anyone can create beautiful, high-quality images using AI. And the quality of the image alone is not going to be the most valuable attribute. In fact, it is no longer rare at all. It is the message, the story, the world, or the connection within the art that is valuable. It is the ability to make the viewer feel something, to feel connected to the image and the artist behind it, to transport them to another place in time or in their mind. And while this is to some extent the way that art has always been, about marketing and much more than just the image itself, I think that it's going to become even more clear in this year and beyond. And so that is what I predict will play out. And what I aim to do with my own art when I'm creating. So yeah, if anybody has any questions about art or AI, please feel free to ask me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah.
Thanks.